Did you take these items today?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. Do you have the rings on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Jace. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be a little late today, okay? Okay. I love you.
Love you.
Okay.
On this Florida body camera, a mother walks into a Walmart with 2 young children, conceals merchandise, and expects past the registers. Minutes later, she is detained, and a recoverable misdemeanor starts escalating fast. 3 shifting accounts, 1 body camera, and a felony case that did not have to happen. What follows is a full legal assessment of the constitutional and statutory framework governing every action visible on this footage. What?
Teresa, can you come here for a minute? Teresa, there's someone here. See.
Hey, Sharifa.
Hi.
Can you come talk to us real quick?
Excuse me.
Because we have you on camera possibly taking some items today.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, just come right over here.
Come over and talk to us. We'll try to straighten all this out, all right?
What happened?
You know what happened.
Yeah, listen, you have a right to remain silent, okay?
What happened?
Let me...
We'll explain everything.
Remain silent.
Let's go out there.
We'll talk right here.
No, I want to go out there.
Okay, so you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. Okay, you have a right for an attorney. And then 411 will provide for you, okay? You understand?
Yeah.
All right, so we went to a store that provided us with footage and evidence that you committed a shoplifting of the...
Of some rings today?
some rings.
I think about 9 rings. We have clear footage of you taking off a display case of rings. I guess they're just put into the display case. Took the case off. You walk around. You looks like you may have concealed it into potentially this white bag you had in there. So we have probable cause to stop you and check your items to see if
Please not do this in the store. Can we just go outside right here?
What is... I don't know.
we don't know where this leads to. Where does this lead to?
Just outside.
And this leads us to outside?
Yeah.
Or is this like a hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be honest with you. Straight from my name's Officer Kelly. It's going to be helpful if you're just honest with us. All right. Did you take these items today?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. Do you have them on you still? Do you have the rings on you?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you show me the rings?
We got to take it back to the store.
Yeah. You got to return the merchandise to the store, and then we'll explain everything else that goes on from there. Okay.
What happened?
What happens?
Yeah.
Where are the rings currently?
In your bag, right?
Like, what happened?
Well, I'm just answering our question.
But did,
We're not
you
going to
say,
anything
did you show my coworkers anything?
No, we didn't. We literally just asked if you worked here. That's it. We're not going to involve your employment, anything like that. We are here to investigate a crime that occurred at another store, okay? We have clear footage of you in the store taking these items, okay? There's cameras everywhere. We see you picking them up and taking them and placing them in a bag, okay? And then you don't proceed to pay for them, you proceed to walk out. And then we were tracking down where you're...
Yes, cameras.
There's cameras all throughout the mall. You just admitted to me that you do have the items. Can you show us the items? Provide us the items?
All right, come on, let us help you.
No, I can give it to you myself.
Okay, just...
I can give it to you myself.
We still got to help you out a little bit.
Why? Officer's on. Well, I can do it myself.
Well, we also got to check.
Ma'am,
you have weapons in
Listen.
Okay,
Listen.
let me make sure.
You're the suspect of an investigation right now. You have to listen to what we're telling you, okay?
Don't make it more difficult than it has to be.
Have you been working for the store for a while, or are you just recently employed here?
Recently.
Just recently employed here? Okay. Have you worked in any other stores in the mall?
Yeah.
Okay. What other stores have you worked in?
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. All right. All right. So, did you happen to shop with anything else today?
No.
What did
You're being honest?
It goes to the tag on.
No, I just went to try that on with some sneakers today.
I'm sorry, what?
I just wanted to try that on with some sneakers today because I was going to a concert, so I just went to try that on.
Oh, so where's it from? Is there Golden Goose? I just don't know Golden Goose.
Golden Goose? Yeah, it's a shoe store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here?
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then these are
All right. So listen, I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to be polite to you. I'm going to treat you with respect. You be as honest as you are to me, the better it works out for you. All right. You're caught in the commission of one crime today. We have proof of the shoplifting from the jewelry store. You took a box of rings, so we have that. If there's any other items you took, it'd be helpful if you're honest to me. We're gonna find out. Okay. Do you have your ID on you, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you provide that to me?
These are just gifts I got today. So I got like the oil, whatever.
Can I have your ID, ma'am?
Do you have a receipt for the gold rings, or how did you get these jeans?
No, those are old. I just brought them in for work this morning. And I just went to try sneakers on. Want to see? I went to try sneakers on. But
Well, my question is, why did you still have a tag?
because I haven't worn them yet. So I went to the store today to try these sneakers on.
I know it looks good. Okay. All right.
Can I have your ID, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I don't know if I'm going to get any radio signal deck here.
What else do you have in there?
These are just gifts from my coworkers for Mother's Day.
Bravo 7 and dispatch. Home myself and Bravo 5. We were following up at Tempur-Pedic with the possible individual from the theft.
No. No, I have to take them back to the store.
Bravo 7 and 5 Tempur.
Everything out?
We got a female stopped here. I got a New Jersey driver's license. If you can run it all around.
Yeah, arrest shot.
Stop both of you.
It's going to be Mike.
I can't take Thomas because for one, we don't know.
We don't know where we're going. Listen, it's past that point. And I'm sorry you committed a crime today. You messed up. It's not the end of the world. Have you ever been called for shoplifting before?
Many years ago.
Many years ago? Do you have any active warrants or anything like that? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So listen,
Under the Fourth Amendment, a warrantless arrest in a public place is permissible whenever an officer has probable cause to believe a crime occurred. The Supreme Court confirmed this in Atwater versus City. Decided in 2001, Atwater held that a custodial arrest is allowed even for minor criminal offenses. Florida codifies this arrest authority in statute. Section 901.15, which the officers rely on here. The retail theft framework appears in Florida statute sections 812.014 and 812.015. Concealing merchandise and passing the final point of sale satisfies the intent to deprive element. Offering to pay after being caught does not negate the offense, because intent is fixed at the moment of the unlawful taking. Toffer. A declined card or a later cash offer cannot undo a theft that is already legally complete on the footage.
what we're going to do, take everything off like this.
Yeah, 10-4. I got 5 here. We're in the back of Tempur-Pedic in the kind of hallway area.
And
We should be right back here for now.
We'll keep the bag. Obviously, you're not going to keep the rings. I'll take the rings back.
So that door is locked, so you're going to take me? I don't want to go through my job, please. I'm asking you.
Where do... Yeah.
That's from Bravo 2.
So, let's put you out in here.
Yeah.
Take your rings off. Really.
They already requested a hook for the 7 p.m. or not yet.
Okay, just listen. We gotta,
Don't go anywhere. There's two
Just-
men right here.
Listen.
I just don't want to see you in the door.
stop.
Okay. So are you wearing any of the jewelry that you took today?
No,
That ring? I have pictures of the rings. I just want to make sure.
no, I don't.
That's not a ring from there?
No.
Okay.
All right, so take everything off. This little pouch right here.
All your personal property that is yours, you will get back 100%. We hold on to it until we get to police headquarters.
Mhm.
All right.
And watch. Little.
Can I just call my son, please? He's at home and I just want to call him to let him know. Or call an adult.
We'll let you.
What time do you get off work?
Huh?
What time do you get for?
Hey.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he expecting you home?
Yeah.
Okay, but
How old is
you.
he?
Huh?
How old is he?
9.
He's 9. Is there
All
something?
right. Just tell him you're gonna be an hour late.
Someone currently watching him?
Hmm?
Someone's currently watching him?
Was, but he had to.
Get this.
Okay.
How many rings?
Yeah, there's approximately 9. I have pictures of them as well. I just want to take. Let me see those rings actually.
1, 2, 3.
10, yeah. There was 2 Chimels double sets, yeah. Yeah, so I actually looked at these things 2 times. Yeah, double set.
All right. So I'm going to try to get it back.
Hi. I don't want to go back to there.
Listen, you're past that point. You know something went on today.
Yes, but can we just go? You can walk me through there. You don't publicize it to my job. I'm off the clock.
Okay, where does this corridor lead us to? We're not familiar with it.
This goes outside. The elevator.
Outside to where?
Outside. Cheesecake Factory.
Where are we parked?
We're parked over by CPK.
So
No.
we need to be on the second floor.
We're not going downstairs.
I have to be handcuffed.
Yeah.
Yes. We're playing nice with you. We're being right, respectful.
But
I understand that we're trying to give you some grace and some dignity of maybe not walking through your employment. Your employment has.
off the job.
I understand.
I don't want to go.
Do you have any property in there still? Do you have anything going on? Nothing.
I don't have anything. I
So what
was
does this
leaving.
mean? We need to stay on the second floor. If we take this hallway down, is there a way we can come out?
Is there anything you're aware of? Is there any entry hallway back into the mall?
There's an exit right when you go downstairs, and then you can have him watch me. And
Listen, if we go downstairs, we're going to parade you around the mall.
You're gonna walk through.
right there. But I'm just saying.
But we're parked upstairs, so we're saying.
We're part of the CPK, California Pizza Kitchen.
Yes. So there's 2 methods.
Yeah.
We walk right back through here, right outside. You're going to be handcuffed once we start walking.
Right.
Or we walk all the way downstairs, all the way up, all the way back over with you handcuffed. Which one?
That's fine. I'd rather go downstairs. Please, I'm asking you. I just don't want this in 15.
Well, that's kind of a decision you had to make before.
I know.
Coming this time. And then
Stupid is
they don't, we're not going to explain anything to them because we're not here for that. Will they ask you about it on Monday while the police were here to talk to you?
This is what we're going to do. We're going to walk you out of the store without handcuffs. Right outside the store. We're going to make a right out of the view. You're going to be handcuffed.
Can I just not deal with the store anymore? I'm off the clock. I'm not
So
working.
I'm just going to walk through. Well, this is.
Or you can have him supervise me. I'm not running anywhere. I'm not doing anything.
That's not what we do.
What do I know? I don't even know what you're on.
I know the role. I've been working here 7 years. I was just saying, there's a cheesecake factory right there. And then I don't mind walking around the mall. I don't mind.
Yeah, but once you're in police custody, we're talking to you. We're doing our investigation. Once you're in police custody, we are going to put handcuffs on you because you're going to be arrested for the shoplifting at the jewelry store. And once we're walking through the mall with you, you're going to have handcuffs on behind your back and you're going to appear that you're arrested because you are arrested. So we're just going to let you wear that.
How this whole thing happens? Do you get out today?
Yeah, you're going to be out in an hour, like I said.
Yeah, so it's
we got to get moving. Yeah. And like you said, we're giving you a lot of leeway.
A lot of leeway and a lot of courtesy.
So we gotta do what we gotta do, and we don't walk hallways. So we gotta go through there.
So we're gonna walk through there.
So there's an exit right here too.
Where does that lead us to?
Right in front of Marc Jacobs, right by the store.
That's where it's like a hallway exit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the mall.
Okay. All right. Give me your cell phone.
Take this off.
Can I just call my son? I'm sorry.
We'll let you.
I'll just call him.
No, I didn't talk to him because I didn't want him to hear you guys.
Okay.
So I hung up.
Listen, we usually just arrest people and go.
I know.
You're getting a lot of play here. We've been here for 20 minutes.
Okay. So
The sooner we go, the sooner you'll be home.
let's get you down to police headquarters. As soon as we get there, I'll let you make a call. Unless, sure, that's fine. Is he?
And while you do that, I'm going to walk down to the light in the middle of the. If I don't find an exit,
Yeah,
this is
right here.
this is where we're going.
Just
Okay.
Make a left right here.
I'll let you talk to your son. I won't be in the background. Okay.
Hi, Jace. Hi. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be a little late today, okay? Okay. Okay. I love you. Love you. Okay. Does someone need to bail me out?
No. So listen, if you don't have any active warrants, if you don't have
Can you
anything,
check for me?
so we're going to do all that, and I'm going to tell you everything as we go along. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you the whole process and the procedure. We're going to check your criminal history.
Is it like a felony?
No, for 2000, yeah, I think
2000?
I'm not sure the number. We have to talk with the store. We're good. Okay. Let me have your cell phone.
2000?
2000 what?
You said $2,000?
With the merchandise, potentially. I don't. We got to find all that. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. Okay.
Can you get in the front or no?
No. Yeah, this is how we do it.
Can you put it right back?
No, sorry, ma'am. This is what happens. Both hands behind your back, please.
I'm not trying to.
I know. You're not, but just we can't give everyone every option they want. It's not how it works. You committed a crime. We're being kind and polite to you. We're trying to.
Can you take those off or? Are you on the break?
Can these come off, these bracelets, easily?
They're fine. You need to take them off. They're mine.
Listen,
I don't want to be me.
you.
Opposite.
I know, but you think it's a two-way street. It's not. We
Got about 7.
they gotta take them off. It's what we have to do. We're not being assholes either.
You think it's a little you?
You will leave
Focus
me now.
on the active ATS 500
Take them off,
and visible down on half that last name.
Does someone have to bail me out?
Not at the moment. How do these?
Florida draws a sharp line between two resisting offenses. Section 8 for resisting offenses is Section 843.0 is a first-degree misdemeanor, requiring only that a person obstruct an officer performing a lawful duty. Even pulling away during a lawful arrest is enough for that misdemeanor. Section 843.1, resisting with violence, is a far more serious third-degree felony that carries up to 5 years in a Florida state prison. Florida courts have repeatedly examined where these offenses meet, including in states of N.J.S.A versus S in 96, decided in N.J.S.A, which addressed how resisting without violence relates to the more serious violent resisting charge. Battery on a law enforcement officer is governed by Florida statute, section 784.07. A simple battery, normally a misdemeanor, is reclassified upward to a third-degree felony when the victim is an officer on duty. That statute does not require any serious injury. Any unwanted touching capable of causing harm is enough. So, grabbing an officer's wrist or kicking him during a struggle can satisfy every element the prosecution must later prove. Use of force is judged under Graham versus Connor, cited in 1989. Decided resexist. The Supreme Court adopted an objective reasonableness standard, measured from the view of a reasonable officer on scene, not with the clarity of hindsight. The 3 Graham factors are the severity of the offense, the immediate threat to the officer, and any active resistance or flight. On this footage, all 3 favor the force used, with a felony in stress and open, escalating resistance. Section, Sasha concentration at. The encounter had already escalated into a felony in progress. The subject announced on camera that she intended to resist, and her physical conduct then met the legal definition, action of active resistance against the arresting officer. Her choking allegation deserves specific treatment. Under Florida law, a knowingly false report against an officer can itself be charged, and the body-worn camera serves as admissible direct evidence of what actually took place that day. When the camera directly contradicts the claim, the allegation collapses, and with it falls the credibility of every other statement the same speaker made. This is exactly how recorded footage protects protects officers and the public alike. No,
10-4. Yeah, just come out all that. Send back, please.
Does someone have to bail me out?
No, you don't have.
Great.
Simple shop.
Huh?
Simple shop. You have anything in your pockets?
No. Like, yeah, you know, to get out?
What is that in your?
I don't carry.
It's not weapons. We checked them out.
What, do you have anything in your non-weapon item in your pocket? Get that.
We just take all your things in your pockets out of your pockets. It's basically a matter.
I'll get him.
We understand that, but this is the procedure. If we thought that with every person, then sometimes we would get hurt.
It's not a ring.
No, it's for my key ring.
Okay.
Listen, you
Just pass
said
that
one items, you're pulling out 30. What's going on here?
This is for my job.
You're gonna keep it, right?
Yes.
Be honest, what is that item?
That's for my job.
All right, so
I'll take this bag up there. We'll put her in the car.
okay.
Can I just take a seat?
Yeah, as we walk.
Just
Yep.
happened 5 minutes.
It's going to be much easier once we get the ball rolling. You don't want to be with us all night. You want to be able to go home. You want to go home with your son. So let's go back to the police headquarters.
Did they say if I haven't worked? 'Cause the other day I got parking tickets in front of my house.
I don't know any of that back here yet. Well, I'll tell you all of them when we get to headquarters.
Was it far?
About 5-10 minutes away.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. I got parking tickets because I didn't park. You were supposed to alternate parking,
because I'm there. We're about to walk around.
and I have not paid the tickets.
Okay. We'll
Is that a warrant?
I don't know yet. I don't know. It could be. We're going to check, but I don't have the radio signal back here, so my partner's on a cell phone.
We need a meeting.
So
How are we doing?
I didn't hear everything that's going through. So I'll let you know everything as I know.
But
Okay.
it's something where I can come out tonight.
Yeah, we're walking out.
For parking tickets, yeah, parking tickets you're not gonna get lodged in county jail.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have a parking warrant, no. And this too, for what we have, what's going on. We're still doing the investigation. We're still trying to figure out everything. We know you did one theft.
Take me to the store?
No, we're not even going to take you to the store.
You can hold my hand?
Yes, we do, man. We don't put anyone in handcuffs and let them walk on their own. This is everything we do is standard procedure for every single person we interact with. We don't make up new ways of doing it.
Bravo, 11 is dispatch.
And everything is before they went down.
Yeah. So, we,
Can you reach out for a beach room for Bravo 7? Checking where?
You said it's someplace okay.
yeah, Calvin Finch Kitchen, we're right out there.
By the way, these older rings, you take one and put it somewhere. You're going to be searched by female when we get to headquarters.
If you do conceal any other merchandise, it could potentially be another
I
charge.
didn't.
Okay, we're asking, and the honesty helps.
I really do appreciate you guys being nice.
Okay, come on.
Right.
I'm
Are
sorry.
you gonna go to the store?
No, you don't. You don't go to the store. You come right outside with us, and you go into the police car. Okay.
And then what are they gonna do with me there?
You're going to be with me the whole time. My name's Officer Kelly. We're going to go to headquarters.
They're gonna give me a bail?
We are going to figure out everything that's going on. What do you
take my badge?
take your what off?
My badge. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing.
Well, ma'am, I'm sorry you did to yourself. Is
I know.
that magnetic? Here, will you pass to us?
This is something for my job. So.
I understand. All right. Just look down. We'll walk you right through. Come on, let's go.
I'm sorry. I'm just having like a panic.
It's gonna be okay.
Give me 1 second. Let me just like get on. Please.
Okay. Let's make it. You're really close to the exit. We'll walk quick. Walk where you're heading down. People won't even know who you are. You'll be out of here in no time, right?
There's way too many people.
There's thousands of people in this mall. No one's gonna know who you are. If you have any friends or associates here, just walk
You
quick.
would just go with the bags. It doesn't look like
Nope. Let's go. We'll make a scene and we'll walk out here a little more loudly if you don't want to walk when we ask you to. All right. Walk slowly when you hit the door. Next. Slowly. We're gonna go in the first police car, okay?
Dispatch. So, well,
We're going in the first car. So not this one, the one right up here.
the door. I'll be clear to the MDA. Hope you have at headquarters, please.
like
But that's processed and then released.
sorry.
Sure.
You gotta get
One of
processed.
the case for both. That'd be great.
Well, like I said, I'm sorry. What's your name, Sharif? Sharif? We're gonna explain everything as it goes. The more time we have to stop and try to ask questions, the slower it's gonna be. All right. We're not gonna keep any secrets from you. I'm gonna tell you everything that's going on. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Just hang tight. It's a little uncomfortable, but this is what happens.
Now, where's the store? I'm gonna.
So it's you just hooked the quick left right there. She's literally like right across from it. Yeah, it's MERUJ or something. It's a new jewelry store. Yeah, but it should be the 9 rings. I'll let's just confirm it. Two wishbones. So that maybe. So those and that. I don't know. They'll be able to tell.
Well, how many are the total?
There's Sasha counted was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, there's 10, so maybe they'll add a new one.
Yeah, maybe we'll give her one more. Well, you're going back with 10. So maybe they didn't print me out one.
Maybe I'll just double check with them. I'll bring.
You want to bring?
total.
Just keep everything. Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean,
Whatever. Yeah.
It's over 500.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you know.
All right, man. Bravo 7 dispatch. I'm going to have one female under arrest. Starting mileage is going to be 52470.8.
All right, transfer 1825.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you know how I told you I had parking tickets?
Yep.
I didn't pay for them.
Yes.
Is that not complete?
So until I find out if you have warrants, which I don't know because I can't run you right now while I'm in the police car, I'll find out when I get to headquarters. I'll let you know. So you think you do have something?
For the parking.
Yeah. What's
I got pulled over once.
okay?
I got pulled over like 3 weeks ago for not having my lights on.
Okay.
And he told me that I had like a traffic, not traffic, but like I think it's like the
Okay. What town was that out of? New Brunswick?
I parked, so I was in front of my house, but
Yeah.
you have to alternate parking for the sleepers.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay the ticket.
Okay.
I just forgot.
Yeah. No. Listen, I have zero interest or care about the parking tickets or potential warrants, but we do have to check for them. And if you do have one, we may have to call that town and see what they want to do about it. That's as far like that's what'll happen. Right now we're here. You're under arrest by the Millburn Police Department for shoplifting at the jewelry store. It's shoplifting. It's not the end of the world.
I'm saying is that like,
well, I got to find out all the information. I don't want to tell you the wrong stuff. I don't want to tell you it's this or that until I have all the information gathered. I want to know the dollar amount, like how much it was. I want to know there's multiple factors and I'll tell you. And what we do is we bring you down to police headquarters. We fingerprint you, we photograph you. We type up some charges that are the charges appropriate to what you did today. And we'll explain everything to you, and you'll get most likely within an hour or two get released with a court date. That's usually how it goes. No, it's not with what we got going on with the Millburn Police Department today. It's not a bail thing. It's you get released with a court date. But if you had some other things going on, some other I don't know. I never know with any person. So once I figure everything out.
when you went to my coworker, you showed her a picture of me?
Just a picture. It was just an image of you on a camera. We didn't say anything else. And then she said your name and we just walked and talked to you. We didn't go back and explain anything to them, say anything to them. So that's to be determined with you and your employer. If you discuss it, if you don't have to legally discuss anything either. And I'm not here to give you legal advice. I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you go back and stop my job?
No, I don't go back and tell your job anything.
I appreciate it.
No, I treat everyone the same. I treat everyone with kindness and respect. I just ask the same from you as well. No one wants to. You made a mistake today. I'm not here to judge you or say anything about it, but I have to do my job. You took some items from a store. You're not allowed to do that by law. So we have to go settle the situation. I'm sorry, what was that? Take you back to the mall? No, we don't take you back to the mall. You'll have to get, like, I understand. It's just, you're arrested. You're under police custody now. Once we release you, that's it. We release you and you're not under our custody. We don't do anything else. To who? No, you weren't being disrespectful. You just had questions and concerns, and it's rightfully so. You're getting arrested by the police, so I don't blame you for your questions. But you just, at a certain point, we are going to continue with what we're going to do, whether you're comfortable with it or not, or whether you want to be arrested or not. That's just how it works.
So it's just an hour that I'll be there?
No, it could be a little bit longer. It all depends. It's all based off of if you have traffic warrants, because we got to contact them. We got to contact whatever police department's out with.
But instead, see if they'd be okay with dropping it off at roadside friendly.
Bravo, they didn't call it over.
You reside in New Brunswick? Okay.
I thought you said 1 or 2 hours.
It all depends. It's not going to be, if you need to call someone to watch your son, we'll allow you to call anyone you need. I don't want to give you a time limit. If all of a sudden we do a bunch of paperwork and the town that you have a traffic warrant out in, doesn't call us back for a half hour or 40 minutes. Sometimes things like that happen because they're busy, because their police department is busy with certain crimes or X, Y, and Z. There's many different factors. Or if our town gets real busy, we have a traffic accident here. Like there's many different factors that could make, you being released a little bit slower.
What am I gonna get?
No, you're just going to be sitting in the back of headquarters and you'll sit on a bench. But you are handcuffed with one of your hands to the bench. Just all standard procedure. We do it to every single person. I know you're nice, you're respectful. I don't think you're going to do anything, but we have to treat each and every person exactly the same. Whether you do a smaller crime like this or whether you do a bigger crime. Today, is it possible to be there at midnight? You're asking? Well, honestly, anything is possible. But 6:30 right now. Idealistically, I like to say goodbye to you as soon as possible. But I got to do my paperwork, my police stuff first, and find out if you have any warrants, anything like that. No offense to you. It's just I want to tell you what you did, tell you your court date, give you your charges, get the reports done, and say see you later. The quicker I'm done with you, the quicker I don't have to do active work. So I don't want to, no offense, be dragging it out longer than it has to be. I try to make it as quick as possible as well. Bravo 7, transport is going to be complete. Can you hit the roll up? Ending mileage is going to be 5247, 5.9.
Thank you very much.
All right, sit back. I'm going to unbuckle you. All right, watch your step coming out.
Will you let me use my phone?
No, you don't get to use it while you're, is that your hair tie?
Yeah.
I'll just put away your stuff. Walk back here. No, unfortunately, you don't get to use your phone when you're in police custody. We'll allow you to make a call if you need to make a call. Come over here, face the wall. I'm going to take one handcuff off you, then you're going to take a seat on the bench, okay?
I'm right here?
Yep.
Okay, so you won't let me make a call?
We need to make calls right now.
Like, I just want to get careful.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Take a seat. It's over here, so make it so comfortable on the bench.
You don't want to with me?
Yeah, I'm going to be back and forth. So if you need anything, just give us a little wave. Those cameras right there. But I'm going to be in the other room for half hour, 20 minutes. If you need to use the restroom, we're going to have a female come back here. They're doing like an additional search, check you. And then if you need to use the restroom, they'll take you back too, okay?
You put my phone in the box.
Yes, I have all your belongings. So we're gonna put all your belongings.
Can I just, you don't mind if I just contact my son? Mama?
When you're in here, you're gonna contact your son via. I have your ID and I have all your other bags and your stuff too. When you contact your son, you got to contact him on this phone number though. On this phone, so I'm at in Millburn. Just someone to go over watch him for. I'd say at least be comfortable at least 2.5 hours.
Okay. I know the number. You mind writing it down for me?
You want to get out of the cell phone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can take a look on the cell phone, but you have to pass right back.
Mm-hmm.
You are an adult. You're not. You don't need to tell anyone what's going on. You can tell people what's going on, so it's completely up to you. So.
201? $201?
How many numbers do you need?
This is last. It's from my son. Sorry.
Okay. Is he home alone right now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Which one do you want to try first? Is there one on the top of the list? You want to go down the top of the list?
Right, son. Oh, let me see. Right, son on the first one.
Okay.
Right, Melly on the second one.
Melly?
Yeah. Kira on
Kira?
Kira. And Lisa.
All right. So which one do you want to do first? You do Son, Melly.
Right.
You want to call him?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have someone to contact to watch him?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get this done quickly because there's a lot more stuff we have to do.
I will be able to call him.
You are. I'm not going to speak with him. I'm going to pass you the phone. The phone's attached over here. It's like the old school ways. So I'm just going to dial it, then I'm going to hand you the phone. But I want you to be able to handle the situation and get someone to watch your son. So therefore, we can take care of your situation so you can get home to him as quick as possible. If I have to sit back here and call 20 different numbers, it's going to take a little bit. But I do want your son to get someone to watch him. Will he answer if you call from the cell phone?
Yeah, he won't answer because
Okay.
he doesn't know the number.
Okay. Does he? My question is, who is he going to call? Is he able to call someone to get someone to watch him right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
He can call my friends.
Okay. I'll allow you to call from there then. Just call directly him.
Yeah.
Tell him that, and then
Sam, I need you to call or text Auntie Hira and tell her that I have an emergency and if she can pick you up. Because I have an emergency and I'm not sure how long I'll be here.
say car trouble.
I have car trouble. And that number I just called, your phone just rang. I know you don't know the number, but whenever your phone rings, just answer it. It may be mommy, okay? Alright, type Auntie Hira, not Melly. Type Auntie Hira and tell her I have an emergency. Okay? Okay. Alright, I love you. Okay? Okay, bye.
All right, no problem. We'll be able to touch base and see if anything changes as time goes on and make sure someone's over there, all right? Give me a few minutes, we'll be right back with you.
Because she was arrested in front of 2 minor children, Florida statute section 827.03 on child neglect may be implicated, and the Department of Children and Families would typically receive a referral here. That duty runs to the children, not to the convenience of the adults around them. The arresting officer full officer. The arrest of B- earns a B lawful arrest and proportionate force, weakened only by harsh language and unclear child welfare coordination. The subject earns an F, 3 contradictory accounts, a discredited choking allegation, an announced intent to resist, and a battery on the officer together transform a recoverable misdemeanor into a 5-charge felony case against her. 3 lessons close this analysis. First, the moment a stop becomes lawful. Compliance is the only path that helps you. Disagreement is argued later before a judge, never won by resisting an officer at the scene of the arrest itself. Second, body cameras cut in both directions. They protect the truthful and expose the false with equal force, no matter which side happens to wear the uniform. Which is why the footage here proved so decisive against the subject's story. Third, children present at any encounter are witnesses, not shields. Their safety and welfare become the system's responsibility long after the handcuffs come off. And that concern follows the family well beyond this single arrest. Let us know in the comments which interactions or legal topics you would like analyzed next. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more documentary breakdowns of police and courtroom encounters the country.